Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about hydrographic tanks. And so, of course, if you've seen any of our other videos, we have one of our Liquid Concepts tanks, but of course there's all different kinds of tanks out there. And so we've been asked this quite a bit, so we figured we'd shoot a quick little video on it to show you guys what to look for in a hydrographics tank. And so we've came down with the top 5 things that you need to know on looking for a hydrographics tank if you're wanting to get into this business. So number 1 is going to be stainless steel. The one thing to remember is that you're doing hydrographics. So of course hydro is water. You're dealing with water pretty much the entire time that you're doing this entire process. And so you definitely want to try to make sure, if it's in your budget, to definitely look for a stainless tank. They make all different kinds of tanks. I have seen aluminum, I've seen galvanized, of course, you've got regular steel that's been coated, and then of course you've got stainless, and then also you've even got fiberglass. Now, I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but at the same time, if you're always dealing with water, normally stainless is definitely going to be the way to go, but it's also probably going to be the most expensive. So if your budget allows, definitely try to get a stainless, because that's something that's going to last you for pretty much the lifetime that you're going to be in the business. So number two is going to be pumps. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a recirculating pump in your tank. If you don't have a recirculating pump, then there's no way to clean off the excess material after you dip. Whenever you go and you finish your dip, it needs to be cleaned off, so then that way you have a clean slate. So definitely make sure that you have a recirculation pump, as well as make sure that everything runs right, and of course make sure that it does completely smooth out the top of the surface, as well as clean everything off, so then that way you get a clean surface to start with for your next dip. And so you've probably seen some of our videos. Whenever we turn our pump on, you mainly want something to where whenever you turn it on, it has a good jet of water coming all the way across, and then of course it allows it to go over the side of it and into the reservoir area. So definitely make sure that you have a good recirculation pump, so then that way you can get clean water every time for every dip that you're going to do. Number 3 is going to be heating elements. So definitely make sure that you have a tank that has heating elements, because inevitably you always want to try to keep the water at a certain temperature. So if the water is not at a certain temperature, which is normally around 80 to 90 degrees, then you're going to have to change your dips for the temperature range. And so the process is already hard enough as it is. Whenever you're trying to dip something, you don't want to have to try to sit there and try to calculate each day, well, my water is this much or my water is this much, and then you're going to have to try to figure out your soak time. So having the heating elements to be able to heat the water, especially in the winter time like it is right now, is definitely a must-have for any tank that you buy. So number 4 is going to be divider system. So you've probably seen a lot of our videos where we move our dividers quite a bit. You're always going to have pieces that are going to be small and large and anything in between, and so you want to be able to have a good divider system that accommodates any piece of film that you cut, so then that way you have the least amount of stretch, so then all the stretch goes onto the part if it needs stretching, instead of you have a divider system that doesn't allow very much difference in sizes. So then of course your films you have to cut larger or something like that. It makes it a lot harder. So having a good divider system definitely is well worth it. Another thing to remember on that is definitely try to make sure that you get a stainless divider system, because even though I've seen some that are aluminum and of course galvanized and things like that, but all of those will start to corrode over time. So if at all possible, definitely try to get those out of stainless, so then that way you get a lot of use out of them, and they're very easy to clean and they're ready to go. So number 5 is going to be a control panel. You always want to make sure that you have a good control panel set up for the tank itself. You want to be able to run your heating elements and your pumps and anything like that, and so your timers and your emergency stops and all that stuff. And so that's definitely something to definitely look into is how is the control panel built? Is it built with quality controls, or is it built with very cheap and simple residential home switches? Because those are going to be something to definitely keep in mind, because some control panels are actually splash proof and waterproof. Other control panels are drip proof and things like that. And so you definitely want to make sure, especially if you're dealing with water like what we are, that you look at those things, because sometimes some control panels are built subpar, and of course they don't have all the functionalities that what another control panel would, like for instance like with ours right here. With ours we actually have digital PID controllers, which controls all the heating elements. We have them for our reservoir tank, we have them for our dipping side, we also have our digital timer, and then of course our start and stop buttons, our pump and buzzer and everything like that. And so we have everything all set up really nice. And of course with this right here, we've even got a control panel that's built in with a touchscreen for another product that we're going to be using as well. But the control panel is definitely something that you want to make sure that you don't skimp on, because using quality controls like that right there will definitely outlast anything that you get that is built very cheap, or it doesn't have a digital control for your PID controller or for your timer. So thankfully with something like this, I can quickly look right here and say, okay, my temperature is this much here, it's that much there, my timer's set right there. I know exactly everything that I need to know for my process. Now I can go straight to dipping. And so it makes it a lot easier, especially whenever you have something. The other thing is that you have it within arm's reach. And so after you get done with anything that you're doing, it is right here, very easy to get to, very ergonomically placed and everything like that. So definitely make sure that you take a look at those things, because that's something that you're going to be using all the time. So you don't want to be dipping right here and then your control panel is way back on the far wall or something like that, to where you always have to walk over there and flip a button or something like that, because that's going to get annoying very quickly with as many dips as you're going to be doing each day all the time. So another bonus one that we like to have, it's not a must-have, but it's definitely very convenient, is like the way that we have our tanks set up is we actually have them on leveling feet as well as casters. And so it definitely makes it really nice. Again, it's not a must-have, but let's say that you needed to move your tank or anything like that, you can easily drain the water out of the tank and then just push it with one hand. It rolls super easy and it's very maneuverable whenever you're trying to get anything around it or you're trying to move it to a different location. Now again, you're probably not going to be using that a lot, so it may not be a must-have for you, but definitely keep that in mind, because if you do have a situation where you need to move that tank one way or another, or it might go here or it might go there, looking at it where you're trying to figure out how to move that, it definitely makes it a lot easier to go ahead and have those things in place, because then of course you can level your tank with the leveling feet, as well as you can also move the tank with the casters that are already pre-built onto the tank itself. So again, not a must-have, but definitely makes it very nice to be able to maneuver around the shop if you have a tight space or you need to move that. Hopefully this video has really helped you out. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. We'd love to hear from you on anything hydrographics related. Also, if you have anything that you'd like to add for the top 5 or the top things to look at on a hydrographics tank, definitely let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you on anything like that. Also, if you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe to our weekly tips and tricks on anything hydrographics related. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.